Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I welcome you to StarGate Olympus. Originally, the intent of the show was to follow the emergence of the new and improved Stargate, which is going to incorporate everything from the old Stargate that we loved and put it together and introduce new elements to make it something new and exciting while honoring the old. But alas, that's not going to happen. The whole concept has been scrapped, and we've been told that despite it not having worked on Doctor Who, Star Trek, or Star Wars, we're going to get a newer, edgier Stargate, as they made fun of in one of their episodes. And people are going nuts. So I guess we'll go around and introduce ourselves and share which elements of Stargate we're most attracted to. Mine happen to be Ace G1 and Stargate Atlantis. So we'll start with the Chandlers. Tina, greetings.
Oh, great, Dorothy. Hello.
Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about which of the Stargates you're most attuned with.
Oh, my name is Tina Chandler, Fort Myers, Florida. Hi, how are you? Uh, I've always been interested and always into mostly with the original Stargate series and SG-1.
Thank you very much. Brian.
I'm Brian Chandler, and I'm kind of like Tina, but I watch all the Stargate shows. So Atlantis is my favorite, but they're all good.
Bob Bosler.
I liked Stargate Atlantis. I followed that from start to finish because when Stargate, the original, came on Sci-Fi, I mean, I didn't catch it until it was on Sci-Fi Channel because I didn't have the original channel it was on. So that probably is my favorite. My least favorite being Universe, but everybody, to each his own. And I'm very disappointed about the news.
Me too. Paul.
Yes, it would be Stargate SG-1 because that's the only one I watched. So it has to be my favorite.
There you go. Okay, who's favorite? Sue?
Yes. I've actually saw all the way from the beginning, from the very first movie that they made, the original, all the way to Atlantis. I followed it all the way through from beginning to end, so I love it. I still love it. I still watch it whenever they have it on.
Hello, all.
Hello, Michael. Michael Koph. Introduce yourself and which of the Stargates you're most attuned to.
Well, as he mentioned, I am Michael Koph, and I'm actually going to pull one that nobody has mentioned, and I'm going to say Stargate SG-1 Atlantis and Stargate Infinity, the animated cartoon.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I have 2 copies of the series. Yes, that is an interesting one. Thank you very much. Sedna, greetings and welcome. What is your favorite Stargate? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I wonder which one it might be. How about the original film? I think that my love of Egypt would give that away, I hope. I am an Egyptologist. I am also the high priest of the Pernateru Temple. I teach ancient Egyptian traditions and magic.
Very awesome. Thank you very much. Now, there's a lot of us today. Did I miss anybody?
No, I think you got everybody.
Okay.
Unless you want to give your take.
Yeah, that would help, right? Come on, Hercules.
Yeah, how do you feel?
I thought I did that. I was looking forward to the new Stargate. I like all the iterations of Stargate, including Stargate Infinity and including SGU. I have quite an extensive Stargate collection, including all the shows and a lot of the action figures. And I have video games, even though I don't have anything to play them on anymore. Yeah, I was really into Stargate. I'm more into the Greek mythology, as all of you know. And there are elements of Greek mythology in Stargate. There's Kronos, there's Athena, there's Proteus, there's a lot of different individual gods, Nereus, that pop up during the saga, but they don't make much of the Olympians. And part of the other reason for the show is to explore Greek and Egyptian mythology within the context of Stargate. So I still want to do that. I like SG-1 the most, and I like Stargate Atlantis the second most. So I'm upset that they decided not to do this, and I'm very disappointed that they're using the logic they used to redo Doctor Who and Star Trek and Star Trek. Because that didn't work out well. Star Wars gave us the shows I stopped watching after Ahsoka finished. I stopped watching any of the shows after that. I was really trying to like Starfleet Academy, and I feel they should have given him more time to find his voice. But it wasn't as good as what I liked from the other Star Treks. And Doctor Who, I stopped watching Doctor Who quite a while ago, so I don't know what they did exactly, but people are in an uproar about it. So
the uproar on Doctor Who is they have ended it. There are no more Doctor Who's being made.
Okay. Worked really well for Doctor Who. They killed the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no that disappointing announcement came recently too, that there would be no Christmas special, which would of course answered the question of the cliffhanger that was left in the last one. So will there be will some other production company and backing give Doctor Who another life? Clearly the agreement with Disney had ended, and maybe that was a good thing. Fans thought that maybe an overhaul was needed to bring it back to the basics and not pour lots of money into the special effects with poor story writing. I hope we see something there.
Rowan Atkinson, I say bring him back as Doctor Who. He was Doctor Who in a couple of specials, I think. A little bit fun.
Yeah, he's still out there. It's been a depressing time this year, guys. We get this news on Stargate, the dismal news on, you can take it one way or another with Doctor Who, but clearly no future isn't a good thing. It certainly needed to be improved. And then for those that are Buffy fans, you get the fan base all excited with the idea that they're going to bring that back, and then even Sarah Michelle Gellar was promoting that, and all of a sudden the news comes out, from her that that one person nixed that, from that streaming service. So, and then of course, a week later, one of the actors that would have been in it, passes away, and now more recently, Anthony Head dies. So, I mean, not a great time for those of us that followed those franchises.
Yeah, no, not at all. And Nicholas Brendan had a twin brother, or has a twin brother.
Yeah, I guess they could reprise the character if some kind of miracle happens in another streaming service, or possibly Dolly Parton, since she had backed the original series. Clearly, Joss Whedon wouldn't be involved in this. That was probably one of the caveats of getting Buffy revived, is that he not be involved in it, even though he, for various reasons that I can understand. But he was, instrumental in getting it started and going another direction from the original movie. So it kind of shows you how the entertainment world works.
So I'll throw a hypothetical out there, and everyone will address this. Okay, you're sleeping and you're drifting off to sleep, and through the different aluminum planes that are here between waking consciousness, sleeping consciousness, and an ascended being comes up to you and asks you what you think about relaunching Stargate. How would they do it optimally so they could spread its message through entertainment and at the same time instruct and inform people in such a way where we won't trip any bells from the deep state or any such entity that doesn't want us to have such information. So Paul wakes up first. Paul, what do you remember from the dream before it fades?
You're asking me? Now here's the funny thing. As I listen, everybody's depressed. The Stargate's not going to be done and everything else. But just last night, I was watching a character from Stargate, and I was watching on fan fiction YouTube, and it was called Endgame Battle for the Multiverse. And in it, they had DC Marvel characters, they had Star Wars, they had Terminator, Captain Jack Sparrow, Mad Max, Predator, and then they had Stargate SG-1 characters in there. So with everything with AI that's going on, and there's a fan out there who just salivating, wishing Stargate would come back. Well, all they have to do is wait for AI, super AI, and they can create their own movie. Um, uh, Even though the Amazon Council Stargate, I mean, a great fan with a lot of intelligence who's tech savvy can make their own Stargate movie.
Unless it's parody or informational, so that you can invoke fair use. You can't really use the franchises that they put in such a movie. So somebody would squash you right away. That happens to Star Trek films all the time.
Hercules, they're actually using the real characters. But they did have a parody. I watched that one too, where they had Stargate SG-1, they had Star Trek, and Farscape together, all three. And so what it comes down to is these AI movies that are created by the fans. There's no production team needed. And there's a WizStar, which is powered by CDance 2.0, and you can make your own cinematic storytelling movie. And Stargate SG-1 will live on. And I don't think it's going to die. There'll be a fan out there who really likes Stargate and will bring it back, maybe as a parody, so there's no legal issues, and actually create a nice movie. And some of the AI movies I've been watching, I just watched one too last night. It was Homelander fighting against Samantha Stevens of Bewitched. And Samantha Stevens has all types of powers, and she was really whooping Homelander's ass. So, I mean, there was some good stuff, and I really enjoyed
Wrinkle her
watching it.
nose. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with their nose, yeah.
We can create our own Stargate enjoyment. So
That's right. There's no reason to be fussing around and crying. Put the tissue to the side and go over there and start creating your own movie, your own Stargate movie.
The ascended being thanks you and it bestows a blessing upon you for giving him. Ascended being goes to Sue and asks the same question. How would you recommend, in your wisdom, and since you're incarnated as a terrestrial being on this planet, how would you recommend we continue with this living mythology so that it can do its job of inspiring and educating?
You know what? I would start out with memes.
Okay.
And then I would actually, there's so many back channels now that there's a lot of groups, there's a lot of back alleyways in the internet world now where people are passing all kinds of information on. So it would be very easy to actually leak information out, because once it's leaked out on all the major platforms, what is going on, especially if it's even happening right in front of us, the deep state is not going to really get flagged up on if you label it a certain way, and if you don't trip the algorithms and you be very clever about it, you can pass all sorts of information on. Now, whether people will believe it or not is a totally different story, but you can pass just about any kind of information on nowadays, because they have created AI, because they have created all kinds of other means to muddy the water. People that don't believe in it will just say it's AI, and the people that do believe in it will actually take the information seriously and follow it.
Do you know how to do that?
We do it all the time. We did it all the time when with all the deep state, especially when they talked about the vaccine. When they talked about all the stuff, we put everything in the back channels.
Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to make memes and put them on back channels?
Yeah, back channels we have. We we've been making memes since the beginning of this whole thing. Probably I started making them 2017. And
Okay.
I'm one of the meme makers. I don't do the video version of it, but I do pictures. We pushed information out about anything that was going on between the presidency, between COVID and all this information that was going on. We were pushing information out like crazy, and we were making memes about it. And then people would make videos talking about it later on, and that would be pushed out into different areas of the internet, and we would relabel it using different types of typings and spell things differently in order for the algorithm to not get tripped.
Okay, and you know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the ascended being, and there were ascended beings in Stargate. The ascended being thanks you for your wisdom and bestows upon you a gift and a blessing. And the ascended being goes back to Paul. Paul, do you know how to make these movies?
Right now, I am mastering just making images. So I could put any kind of Stargate character into an image and have them do all kinds of crazy things. So, but as for the movies, I have some friends who are really tech savvy, and they're already talking about doing some kind of movie, this and that, and I saw about last week I saw two good movies where Thor was working along with Wonder Woman, and I saw Batman fighting Deadpool.
Wow. Okay, so you get a second blessing for that, and you get hidden and occult wisdom sent to you while you sleep that you will remember when it is time.
Okay.
The ascended being next goes to NcClure, he of Khemet. And
Well,
same question.
I was thinking it would be interesting if we got some of the living cast from the original Stargate, and if we had an ascended master like Giorgio Tsoukalos coming out through to explain everything to everybody.
So evolve what we're doing so that we invite. I used to have an Ancient Aliens show a long time ago, and
I
I had
remember.
several people who've written these books, and they used to come on. I could resurrect that.
I would think it would be interesting to see what his take on that would be, since, you know, he's always ancient alien theorist going on and on and on. And what if we had him discover a Stargate? You know, go somewhere like in the middle of the Sahara Desert or the Gobi Desert or somewhere, and all of a sudden he's with a bunch of archaeologists, and Kurt Russell shows up, or you know, one of the other guys that would be involved, or the guy that played Ra. I think that would be really kind of cool. And so Giorgio looks and he sees himself as an ancient alien. You know, maybe he's Amun, or maybe he's Zeus. And all of a sudden he realizes, this is my reincarnation. I'm not just an ancient alien. I'm here now in both places at once. And he's kind of in a time warp. You know, something that they could do like the original time tunnel, which is from what,
Yeah.
1966, I think, right? Bring that back. I mean, the time tunnel was probably the reason for Stargate in the first place.
Yeah, and also too, Giorgio had on Ancient Aliens a Stargate special. So
I
I don't know
remember.
if you guys
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah, I mean, all these different places where possibly were Stargates.
He was talking about the hitching post of the sun, what's that, in Peru, I think it is,
Yeah, it was
and he
Peru.
saw something even linking Stonehenge to that kind of a thing, and also there's that vortex they say, obviously, Skinwalker Ranch. You know,
Right, right.
So,
Exactly.
I watch that religiously. I want to know what that bubble is. I really do. You
Well,
know,
just
there's
like
something in there.
just like Mount Shasta, people wind up missing over there and just disappear. They can't find them. And there's one guy who said he was hiking through there and he got to a certain point and he said that the air became real thick and he started becoming really nauseated and he put his hand into the air part and it felt like jelly and he brought it back and took off and said, "Oh no." He felt like he was going into a portal.
There's something like that. I've been to Bimini, I'm an Atlantis. We all are, but I'm an Atlantis nut. And I went to Bimini. I wanted to go snorkeling. I wanted to see the roads and things. And there was a point where we got to one of those the streets that they talk about, and there was a point where I felt like the water was, vibrating. That I knew we couldn't get past that, and I didn't even try. But it's the same kind of thing, and I know that there's some kind of a electronic vortex also in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Try to get authors and celebrities that deal with these topics, put them in amusing stories, and bring in the ancient alien aspects of it, or the Egyptological or Greco-Roman elements of it.
I mean, all we got to hurry up. All these ancient alien theorists are dropping dead.
Yeah.
They lost three of them last week or so, right? Yeah.
And we got portals absolutely everywhere. The St. Louis Arch is a portal, and now times you see these buildings everywhere in the city where they have stairs that go to nowhere. Yeah, those are portal entries.
We'll introduce the portal entries too. So, Michael, you also get a blessing and a bunch of esoteric information that will clarify everything for you, that you will understand when it's time to understand it.
Much blessings, Almighty One.
Now the ascended being goes over to Michael, the other Michael K, and poses the same question to you.
I'm envisioning taking like Daniel Jackson and the Ascended, I forget her name, but she was the one that helped Daniel ascend. And they go and they come back to Earth, back down. And you have the Greek gods with their Jaffa. You have the Nordic gods with their Jaffa. The Celtic gods with their Jaffa. And start to showcase other cultures and their gods. And then go, and have like off to the side is like they're all like, talking and being like, yeah, and referencing what happened to the gods of Egypt with the uprising and SG-1, referencing them and going how they lost. And so now they're trying to work with the Earthlings instead of enslaving them and, kind of take a different twist to it and show the gods like saying, okay, the original way we did it didn't work. Let's try a different way. Let's try working with the humans and and maybe branch out. But I think the fact of bringing in like two ascended masters to help like be like the ones that bring them together would be an interesting aspect to bring to the show because it's showing the cultures, but it's also showing where we're all wanting to go. And so they're all having to work together to get there and set apart their differences while still keeping their identity.
And you get several blessings and several esoteric messages. Yeah, I was thinking along those lines also, in fact, heavily along those lines. So definitely getting incorporated in what I present to you by the end of today's episode. And some of it we can do by really easy means. And I'll talk an example. This has been brought up by some of you, putting the characters in situations now and making up new adventures. Back in the fandom days when I met Bob Bossler, we used to do that from fanzines. We used to write our fan fiction in the fanzines, and we used to have the characters meet like Hercules and Xena. I was a Klingon back then and did a lot of Klingon things. And we created this really big Klingon subculture that spread all over the place and influenced the entertainment. And that's when I met Tina and Brian also. So we have a history in that era. So thank you, Michael. And we will return to your idea shortly. And now we go last but not least to the Chandlers. What would you tell the ascended being to do?
What would our what? I'm sorry.
If an ascended being came to you while you're in your sleep and says that they need StarGate to instruct people and entertain them through the instructions so that they are able to understand and observe what they're teaching. What would you
Sorry.
recommend right now?
Start writing again. Reaching out, like you said, to the fanzines. I would say this: if Markiplier could produce and direct and bring out a film about Iron Lung, then why not again with the general public, or like Paul said, one really good tech savvy person bring out different variations of Stargate and how Stargate affected the common person, more or less. How children grew up with this, allowing us to open up minds of our own children to Stargate, what it is, what it was, what it could become.
That sounds wonderful. You too, you get blessings and you get occult information packed into your head when you're dreaming that you won't be able to remember unless you really need it. Or in retrospect, it seems to come to you after the fact.
It's that way with knowledge like that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Brian, how do you answer the question?
Okay, prefacing this with the biggest thing. Whatever you're going to do, whether it's with a AI thing, whether it's with fan-produced things, whether it's with major studios backing you with all kinds of money, whatever you do, put somebody in charge who understands the show, understands the backstory, understands the concept behind everything. Don't just put some suit in there that says, hey, I'm going to produce a TV show and I'm going to watch dollar signs. Put somebody who understands the fans, understands the story. That said, if you're going to do it and keeping up with the legacy characters where the fans that they have already will be able to jump on board and go, okay, we understand these characters, we know these characters, this is just them however many years later, bring in enough of a new cast where you can get new fans in and just kind of generally pick up from where you left off. If you have a new threat, if you have the system lords come back, if you have the replicators come back, whatever the case may be, do it in such a way where there's an actual reason for it. Don't just say, hey, we're going to, as much as I hate to say it, like Academy did, we're just going to give a bunch of fan service and pull these things out of nowhere and none of them are going to make any sense. We're going to actually make it where the show is done in a certain way where it's, I guess the best way is understandable for long-term fans, but also understandable for new fans, because that's what you're going to need after so long. You're going to need new fans.
Okay, granted, you too, you get the blessings, you get the information popped into your head. Okay, the ascended being goes back and talks to other ascended beings, and they start deciding on a course of action.
Hercules.
Yes.
I had a second thought come to mind, and I'm curious everyone's thought of this is in SG-1, Daniel disappears
Yes.
as an ascended being and then comes back with his memory gone.
Right.
What if we did a series where we showed them showing Daniel as an ascended being, all of the gods working on the planet, like the Greek gods and how they operated, the Celtics, the Native American gods, and they're showing his life and what he went through and learned in the ascended plane.
Those will make great stories to have in the fanzine portion of it.
What are we going to have? The Watchers interfere?
No, what I was thinking of is, okay, we have a podcast and we can make monthly. We're doing that right now. So we have this on the table. There's a card we have on the table. We have Facebook where you can not only communicate information, but you can have groups. And there is a Facebook group dedicated to this. I've sent everybody a link in case you didn't have it. It's called StarGate Olympus.
Yeah.
In Stargate universe, there are Olympians, but not that many of them. And it's kind of vague what happened to Olympians. They hint that some of the Olympian gods and the Egyptian gods are the same. They did that in first season with the episode Hathor, where they said that Hathor was goddess Egyptian among Greek, and Venus amongst the Romans. So they had that, and I forget who was. I think Sobek was Hades, or somebody was Hades, but they had Hades on. Athena was like an ascended being. She wasn't the goal, if I remember correctly. But they have a bunch of explanations for the few gods in the show. They had Cronus, they had Nereus, they had Pelops. They had all sorts of obscure Greek gods. So they also had. I thought that Michael was going to bring up that episode where Daniel Jackson went through a mirror type of thing. He walked up on another variant of Stargate, like what was happening in that dimension, and the Goa'uld were invading Earth.
Right.
And so they did different things, and then they decided to try to work together, try and make that not happen, or to go back with enough information where they could prevent that from happening on their particular Earth. And they did that in one of the special movies that they did after the series finished. Same type of thing. They wind up on an alternate Earth. The history was different, and they can make things different on their Earth, and so forth. So those devices exist within the Stargate universe. But this is what we have. I run role-playing games on for adults on, and again, this doesn't mean anything naughty was going on. It was just that they weren't kids role-playing games. I did them on Facebook. So I put together something set in the Stargate universe with the Olympians and the Egyptians and the other gods. And I can invite you guys to play so that we have an experience together. And we could either record that to televise it, or we don't have to. We can do it by email or by post or by whatever. It doesn't really matter. Like I used to mix up the different science fictions in Pennsylvania. So I had like live games for adults, like Die Gungan Die and Wookiee Holocaust. They mixed up Star Trek and Stargate and Star Trek, and it was one big soup, like jambalaya. But stuff like that, we could write fan fiction and publish that on Facebook, or we could make printed zines, or we could have email blasts, or we could. There's a number of things we can do. And Bob was around when I was actually doing the Klingon stuff. We had costumes, but not only were costumes, we did like it was LARPing before there was a LARPing. We actually assumed the roles and played it out pretty seriously, although quite tongue-in-cheek. So we could do something similar. Now with my Parkinson's, I'm limited with my mobility right now, so I'm not going to be going gallivanting to conventions and wreaking havoc like I did as a Klingon. But I'll all the way of getting involved. But we can be Stargate Olympus. The goal is to find the other gods and to see if we could unite the Goa'uld, the Ascended, and the Ori, and the bug creatures, I forget what their name was in the Olympus universe. And
The Wraith.
The Wraith, and get them to work all together to help the Earth to better ascend rather than manufacture. So the idea is that Michael Koph, presented, we incorporate them that way. And this way we have something to do. We have a mission. It allows us to interact with other fandoms. And we could always grow this program. I'll bring back the Ancient Alien part of the program. I'll just look at publishers and what's going on now and see who's interested in booking on the show. I had the guy who did the 12th Planet, Sitchin. I had his niece on at one time. I had, I think Koph was on the show. I had a bunch of people who related that type of stuff. So we can go back to doing that as well. We could talk about the StarGate program that our own government had, which was a remote viewing program. And Trump, in one of the YouTube videos that I put in the group, was saying that he wants to bring back the StarGate program. So we might actually have the StarGate program, not going through portals, but a StarGate program going on in our government. And Sue was talking earlier, before we all started the show, about the portals in occultism, portals in metaphysics and astral travel, and so forth. So there are Stargates that we know about already that can be reached through occult rather than technological means. So we have enough material we could all talk about, and that was the idea I wanted to present, this, how everybody thought of it, and if you guys like the idea, and modify it if you like. These are ideas right now. We're just throwing things on the table and see what sticks and what resonates. I'll start with Tina because she appears large on my screen right now.
Sorry about that. I'm just trying to listen to you here more carefully. Well, that sounds really great. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can all talk about regarding Stargate programs and things of that nature. And my husband, Brian and I, we talk about stuff like this all the time. I don't know why we haven't written a book. How can I go against up against Paul over there?
Well, we don't go against each other. We can work with each other and do things.
No,
Like
I didn't mean to think that way. I'm sorry.
Tim Schwartz's universe of publishing Zamtar Press, which is named after Zamtar, which was a science fiction film in the days of yore. Paul, Setna, and I contribute stuff there, and it gets published. So we'll publish together. So we're working together, even though we see the universe slightly differently. We respect each other's views, and it's a sharing that's important. So we do the same thing.
I'm sorry about that. I feel like I put my foot up my mouth up to my knee.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Brian, since you're there, what do you think of that idea?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
We'll go to Sue because the conversation started before everybody got here with Sue.
What? I'm sorry?
What do you think of the ideas thrown on the table by me and now by the Chandlers?
Yeah, I
Well, I
think they
just
would
know.
actually work. I mean, I think that I think the expansion of not only just creativity, but also the expansion as time goes on, more knowledge about these particular even subjects even come around, so that we can actually dive deeper into it, which is nice. I did want to bring up really quick though, Michael was talking about how underwater and that there was a pushback in the water or some sort of portal or something. They did show that in a TV show called Sequest DSV a long time ago. They talked about water portals.
They
So,
did.
yes.
Yeah.
And
So-
time travel.
Yeah, time travel. You know, they had all that stuff on Sequest. I'm a huge fan of that. I actually got to meet some of the characters back in the day when they were filming that. So that was neat.
Remember
So, yeah,
Board to the Bottom of the Sea?
Yes. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Richard Bateshard. I
Yeah.
remember well. Of course I
David
do.
Edison, yeah.
So it's all portals and stuff. They're showing whichever different series they talked about the portals. Then they're showing that they're absolutely everywhere. Even in they talked about it in Star Trek, and they talked about it in Stargate, and they talked about it Star Wars. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. And they did it with Doctor Who. I mean, they literally made it obvious how out there it really is. It's just that they were trying to push it out as common knowledge as much as they possibly could, but they have to dress it up as in it's a show in order for you to be able to tell us and any kind of disclosure about it.
They even had it on I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched. They were able to travel through portals to get into the past and into the future. And it was kind of done as ha-ha, but some of us who practice magic weren't laughing. I work with vortexes. I work with vortexes and all kinds of portals, psychic portals all the time. And I do past life regressions, and I also bring people through in that way into their own personal past.
They talk about time travel with the Back to the Future movie.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's the same
Talk
idea.
about movies as well and TV shows and various forms of time travel and portal travel in antiquity. We'll throw those on the table for consideration.
And we can even put up H.G. Wells if you want to, you know.
This is a time to explore different ideas and to see which resonate and come up with a definite plan so we can start right away. Okay, now we'll go to Michael K because you popped up before SetNa did. So what do you have to say about the ideas that are on the table?
Well, I've been sitting here toying with, the idea of the portals and how to make it work and everything. And there's a show we haven't mentioned yet that seems to be like a key to where we could open it up to any genre, any avenue, and that is Quantum Leap, where he
Absolutely.
Or
Yes,
jumps
sliders.
Michael.
into and becomes somebody in another time. And so we could have like an SG team that goes through the portal on the other side of the portal. They're on the Battlestar Galactica, running, being pilots or crew members. Then they could go through a portal and become on the Enterprise. Go through a portal and they're, in ancient Greece and looking at the gods. So it's like it opens up so many avenues. And by having these shows and knowing people gravitate to those shows, granted, I don't know, I didn't really watch the new Quantum Leap if it did as well as the original.
It was okay. I prefer the original.
No, the original was much better.
Yeah, but if we follow that timeline, I mean, the whole sci-fi universe and the whole educating people about, the gods and, who's who and all kinds of universes, even Doctor Who could become available through that is by leaping into someone in that position. And I feel like that's a way to that Stargate can branch into everything and in a way that it doesn't alienate any of the other fans. Like if a Stargate crew jumps into Star Trek, they're not going to go, "Oh my God, they're messing with Star Trek." It's like, "Oh, they're going to look at it as going, "Oh, they're doing a parody of us. How cool. Yeah, let's watch, see what they do." Or, and vice versa. And so I think it's a way that the portals can be explained and utilized and branch it out to where we're not stuck in a specific genre, a specific path, that we can go many paths.
Well, speaking of that, being stuck in a path, we forgot Outlander. That's a show where she's stuck in the 1800s. She falls in love with this man, and then every once in a while she gets pulled back into the present. And that's kind of an interesting thing because they're in that show, they can't control the quantum leap. They can't control her, being pulled back and forth into time.
Actually, in Outlander, it's not that she's pulled back, it's she goes voluntarily by having a gemstone to the stones.
Right, right.
And so it's not really the portal pulling her back. It's she chooses to go and then comes back and and everybody chooses to jump, but the problem is, and I get where you're going with it, is the stones send you where you need to go, not where you want to go.
Exactly. And maybe we're going to meet somebody 300 years earlier, and you're now in a different town or a different country or somewhere where you had no idea what you were going to do. There's that early episode where the one woman was burned as a witch
Yeah.
because she couldn't get out of where she was, and she was stuck because she was supposed to be a year or two or so earlier, and it didn't happen.
So we can, instead of setting it in one of the Stargate places in the Stargate multiverse, we could just send it in something even more Olympian. The Pleroma, which in Gnosticism is the realm of infinite possibilities, or we could send it within chaos, or chaos in Greek, which is also basically the realm of infinite possibilities. So our device that brings us into worlds and possibilities. So even though our origin is in Stargate, we have that potential to reach into other places, and we can reach into all these fictive universes as well as the Stargate universe, and broaden the appeal of the show instead of just the Stargate fans, the all science fiction. That's it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's cool. We can
Yeah,
be anybody, any place, anywhere. Just
yeah,
don't send me
Even
to any
parallel
B&B.
universes like they did in Slider. Can you imagine? Possibilities are endless there too.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
and people love crossovers. So, like when I was watching the parody of Farscape, Stargate SG-1, and it was great. I mean, you like to see characters from other TV shows connecting and stuff like that. So, do you guys remember a TV show? It was about time travel. It's called Voyagers. With
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Mhm.
Yeah, the star was John Eric Hexum.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's
great
so sad
actor.
because he shot himself in the head with a blank and
Yeah,
killed him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on Cover Up, the
Yeah.
show he did afterwards, which was was going to be a very successful show. I think it ran a few seasons, and then that happened. And even when they replaced him, it wasn't the same.
no, we were all Saturday morning cartoon kids too, those of us of a certain age. Do any of you remember that the Jetsons went back in time to see the Flintstones?
Oh
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. I saw
There we
that.
go.
Yes,
All of
yes.
a sudden, George.
You know, and Paul, talking about your crossovers, if you were to take like Stargate Universe, because they left us with the ship still out, lost, and unable to come home, Star Trek The Next Generation had Wesley become the Traveler,
Right.
and we could do
Yeah,
a crossover of the Trap Wesley appearing as a Traveler and help the ship get closer to home or to home.
Or and throw in the Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
Okay.
there's endless possibilities.
So now we
Yeah,
enter,
it's too bad they never did another episode to show us how Wesley was doing.
now we enter the realm of theosophy. How many of you know what theosophy is?
Very much so.
Okay, theosophy,
A bit.
the theosophy is structured in such a way where it's like it embraces comparative religion, comparative occultism, comparative mysticism, and doesn't really give you one way to do things. In fact, there are like all these different rays, and each ray has a whole hierarchy of beings. It's like a flow chart in a corporation. So we can do something like that because I'm doing shows on theosophy also, so it will be a very easy
Yes.
my brain. But this will be a theosophical concept, except instead of only limiting ourselves to existing mythologies that existed historically, we can add the same exploration and imagination skills, mythologies that arise in our pop culture.
That would be very cool, I think.
Yeah, and a way to do that too, Hercules, is Marvel when they did the what if scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
We could totally do like Stargate what if and do it as if what if the Egyptian gods didn't turn into the Goa'uld and, go down the enslaving people? What if they went to the helping people? And all the different versions and do an opposite version of what if.
I would
And
Yeah,
we
love
can make
those
it be whatever we want it to be because it doesn't exist
I
yet.
well,
like that. I
those
really
are
do.
I always look at it as alternate universes.
Right.
Right.
and and also too, you can have all these different variants. Um, uh, just like in Loki, you had all the variants of Loki.
Right.
You can take these characters and make variants out of them.
I like talking
Yeah.
about it. Okay, that sounds good. So, what do you call it? All these things are doable. We're gonna have to put them on a timeline, and we have to stick to the timeline. But if we all work together, we do something impressive in a not too long period of time, and then grow it from there. And I want to hear from Bob before we get everybody's contact information and the first assignment.
Well, a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. One, the people that were going to put revive Stargate, they were quite familiar with the series. I mean, they were fans. They put a lot of effort, and thought into this, from what I recall, because I saw a kind of a podcast segment or some kind of promotional video that they had done to talk about it, and it sounded like they had been associated with the franchise before, as either writers or directors or producers, in some capacity. So I'm not quite sure what was rejected and what was found to be offensive by whoever the powers are. Because wouldn't this have been done since it was Universal? Wouldn't this have been done by Peacock or yes, the streaming service or Universal Studios? So I'm not familiar with what this saga was that scrubbed the project.
It
I-
was Amazon, and
Oh, is
Amazon's
Amazon?
yeah, and their official excuse from their press release was that it was sticking too close to existing fans, and they want new fans. They don't want to cater to the legacy
And
fan
And they
base.
said
I
They
also
could care less about the legacy
they also
fan base. They want all new people. And the ones that were
They
in
also-
charge were actually like Joe Malazzi, and the ones that were in charge of Atlantis and SG1 towards the end. So they know the material. But Amazon didn't want to back them because they said they were sticking too close to the original story, and they want, new fans. They, like I said, they could care less about the old fan base.
And
Like,
also,
let's-
too, they didn't like Martin Juro's vision.
Which
Yeah.
the vision was most likely the whole concept of the Stargate team, I would think. Like I don't know exactly what they had planned, but I know if I were trying to revive a show and it does run a fine line, I would do SG2, like basically another team set in the current, our current timeline, now, with possible cameos by the original cast, but not with them dominating the cast. They're older now, and they probably have no interest in doing this. They're comfortably retired or whatever. But yes, a younger, diverse team that would come in and do, yeah, have the same kind of adventures, would maybe, not go back to all the old material and obviously try to bring in new, but like Next Generation did with a new crew, a gap of time. Most likely the gate would have been made dormant by government bureaucracy because we would be afraid. Perhaps it could have been, reopened because there was a new threat that we saw and that they would need to reactivate the program. I'm sure that would have been part of the pilot of this revival, and that you'd have some newer people. And you'd have to have some of the original flavor, but you'd have new characters, new adventures, new adversaries. I don't understand why this is so complicated. Why this was, like this couldn't work. I've heard a lot of you folks bring up a lot of interesting concepts here, in certain things of the past. I mean, one of the things I'd want to cover on a more simple basis was at the end of Stargate Atlantis, which sadly ended, in my opinion, prematurely so that they could give us Stargate Universe, which, in all due respect, I thought was awful, and would have preferred another season of Stargate Atlantis. But we saw the city, I think, ended up landing, or coming to the San Francisco Bay. So it's out there. So like that would be something to pick up on in an episode of a revived Stargate of how are they doing out there? How's the city doing? Because it's on the surface, it's not underwater or anything like that, and it's existing. So, that would be an interesting way to maybe pick up that concept, that storyline, maybe even throw in a cameo there.
I agree
So
with Bob. And I
Yeah.
actually like the trope idea when they actually take the original characters, not only having them in there just briefly every now and then again to come as advisors or whatever, but I also like the idea when they take maybe the descendants of the original people. Like maybe they have their niece or a nephew or
yeah,
son or daughter that, ended up, taking up the mantle kind of thing, and the torch gets passed on to them. Or at least one or two of the characters are related to somebody that was from the original.
Yeah, it did seem like Daniel and Claudia Black's character, which
Paula.
I thought the two of them made a very nice couple
Yeah,
because they were
Paula.
so different from each other, and they were certainly getting close. I would hope that they would have married and maybe had kids, and that person would, that offspring would emerge as part of the cast, or at least in a guest appearance.
Well,
You know,
that and Jack and Sam. I mean,
And no, we need
everybody knew that was coming towards the end.
guys, we're running out of time. So we'll start wrapping up, and I'd like everybody to share their contact information. I want to thank everybody. So I guess we'll start as we started with Sue. Sue, how can people get in contact with you?
You can contact me through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm under NcClure. People can message me on Messenger. My email is suelightworker@gmail.com.
Yeah, thank you. And Brian?
Best way to find me is on Facebook, just by name.
Okay, Tina?
Same, excuse me, same here.
Okay, thank you. And Bob?
Facebook works for me. Bob Vossler, I found, is what my name on Facebook is, so probably the best.
Setting up Khemet.
You can get me also on Facebook. Also, you know that I write for Today's Witch magazine, so you can get me at Michael K at today'switch.net.
And we have to do a show just on that new area of your life and share.
Sure.
Paul?
Yes, all you have to do is Google my name, Paul Dale Roberts. I just want to say this real quick. I don't even know if you guys ever realize this, but one person who brought this Stargate thing down because of Martin Jarrell's vision, they didn't like it, and now the fans are petitioning. But did you also know that back in the day, when the original Quantum Leap was out, they were going to do a crossover with Quantum Leap and Magnum PI, and one person shut it down, and everybody was disappointed.
Wow.
That was interesting because Magnum PI, the original Magnum PI, was CBS and Quantum Leap was NBC.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, look it up. I swear to God, I was shocked, but yeah, they were going to do it.
Okay. And Bob, how about you? How can people contact you?
Well, like I said, through Facebook, and you could also reach out through USSChallenger.org.
Awesome. Okay. Our assignment will be for the next show, we'll do this monthly, is let us start by exploring the actual Stargate program that we had, which was based on remote viewing experiments. So we'll brush up on that, dust off what knowledge you've already acquired or acquire some new knowledge, and let's talk about that and how that affected the Stargate program, or it might still affect the Stargate program on TV. Sound good?
Sounds good. And you can find me on Facebook too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. Okay. And if you belong to a pantheon that was terrestrial or extraterrestrial or imaginal, which pantheon would you belong to? Like mine is obvious. I'm an Olympian. Sedna's is obvious. He's an Egyptian. He even walks like
You
an Egyptian.
think?
Think about what pantheon you would belong to if we did pantheons working together for the good of humanity and interacting with all these different multiverses to see if we can get other people who aren't so inclined to do the same.
I like that idea.
So we could build characters that aren't Stargate characters, going beyond Stargate now. So I'll come up with a new name for Multiverse Olympus or something. Okay.
Well, when I had a newsletter called People's Comic Book Newsletter, I created a universe called Jasma Universe, and I have over 300 characters that I created.
Wow. You'll be a consultant in creating characters.
And I'm still doing it, but now I use AI.
And although it's impossible to find any of this, well, not impossible, some that's on YouTube. I used to make a TV show and I made a movie, and the movie showed in theaters and on TV. So I have experiences that if I can get the right people to help with things like editing, we could start making like really impressive mini productions. So that's on the table. I just need to find the right team of people who could do some technical things that I can't do anymore.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay, thank you all. You're all incredibly awesome. I wish you success with all your endeavors. I wish you much wisdom that'll make sense when it makes sense, and many blessings that I hope affect you now. Take care, everybody, and this should be up by midnight tonight.
Blessings,
night.
life, health, and prosperity to everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.